Hey there. Welcome to Entangled, your go-to channel for unlocking the secrets to personal growth, mastering new skills, and living your best life. I'm Jethro, and I'm here to guide you through the science, strategies, and stories that will help you achieve more in less time. Whether you're looking to learn faster, think smarter, or break free from limiting habits, you're in the right place. So if you're ready to level up, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest content. Now, let's dive into today's topic, how to learn anything faster than everyone else. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll have the tools to master any skill, subject, or goal in record time. Let's get started. The science of learning. Let's start by understanding how your brain learns. Learning isn't just about memorizing facts or repeating tasks. It's about creating and strengthening neural connections in your brain. This process is called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to rewire itself based on new experiences, information, and skills. Every time you learn something new, your brain forms new pathways. The more you practice, the stronger these pathways become. That's why repetition is so important. It helps solidify what you've learned. But here's the catch. Not all repetition is created equal. If you're just passively reading or listening, you're not engaging your brain enough to form strong connections. That's where active learning comes in, which we'll dive into later. Now, let's talk about some common myths that might be holding you back. Myth 1. You need to study for hours to learn effectively. This couldn't be further from the truth. Research shows that shorter, focused study sessions are far more effective than marathon cramming. Your brain can only maintain high levels of focus for a limited time, usually around 25 to 45 minutes. After that, your attention starts to drift, and your learning efficiency drops. Myth 2. Some people are just naturally fast learners. While it's true that some people might have a slight advantage due to genetics or early education, the reality is that anyone can become a fast learner with the right strategies. It's not about innate talent, it's about how you approach learning. Myth 3. Multitasking helps you learn more in less time. Multitasking is a myth. Your brain can't focus on two things at once. It just switches rapidly between tasks, which reduces your overall efficiency. When you're learning, it's crucial to eliminate distractions and focus on one thing at a time. Finally, let's talk about mindset. Your belief in your ability to learn plays a huge role in how quickly and effectively you pick up new skills. This is called having a growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that your abilities can improve with effort and practice. On the other hand, a fixed mindset is the belief that your abilities are set in stone. People with a growth mindset are more likely to embrace challenges, learn from feedback, and persist through difficulties. So, before we move on to the strategies, take a moment to reflect on your mindset. Do you believe you can improve? If not, start by shifting your perspective. Learning is a skill, and like any skill, it can be developed with the right approach. Strategy 1. Active learning. Now that we've covered the science, let's dive into the first strategy, active learning. Active learning is the process of engaging with the material instead of passively consuming it. Think of it as the difference between watching a cooking show and actually cooking a meal. When you're actively involved, you're more likely to remember and understand what you're learning. So, how do you practice active learning? Here are 3 techniques you can start using today. Technique 1. Summarize in your own words. After reading a chapter, watching a video, or listening to a lecture, take a few minutes to summarize what you've learned in your own words. This forces your brain to process the information and make sense of it. For example, if you're learning about the water cycle, don't just memorize the steps. Explain it to yourself as if you were teaching it to someone else. This simple act of summarizing can significantly boost your retention. Technique 2. Teach what you've learned. Speaking of teaching, this is one of the most powerful active learning techniques. When you teach something, you have to organize your thoughts, clarify your understanding, and anticipate questions. You don't need a formal audience to do this. You can teach a friend, a family member, or even an imaginary student. If no one's around, try recording yourself explaining the concept. The act of teaching will reveal gaps in your knowledge and help you solidify what you've learned. Technique 3. Use flashcards or quizzes flashcards. And quizzes are excellent tools for active learning because they force you to recall information from memory. This process, known as retrieval practice, strengthens your neural connections and makes it easier to remember the information later. Apps like Anki and Quizlet make it easy to create digital flashcards and quizzes. You can also use traditional index cards if you prefer a hands-on approach. The key is to test yourself regularly and focus on the areas where you struggle the most. Let's look at an example of how to apply active learning in real life. Example: learning a new language. If you're learning Spanish, don't just memorize vocabulary lists. Instead, try writing sentences using the new words, practicing conversations with a language partner, or creating flashcards with images to help you remember. By actively engaging with the language, you'll learn faster and retain more than if you were just passively studying. Active learning might feel more challenging than passive learning at first, but the effort is worth it. The more you engage with the material, the deeper your understanding will be, and the faster you'll master it. Strategy 2. Spaced repetition. Next up, we have spaced repetition, a powerful technique for retaining information over the long term. Spaced repetition is based on the idea that you remember information better when you review it at increasing intervals. This is because of something called the forgetting curve. The forgetting curve shows how quickly we forget information after learning it. Without review, we can forget up to 70% of what we've learned within 24 hours. But if we review the information at the right intervals, we can dramatically slow down the forgetting process. So, how does spaced repetition work? Step 1. Learn the material. Start by learning the material as you normally would, whether that's reading, watching a video, or attending a lecture. Step 2. Review immediately after your initial learning session. Review the material within 24 hours. This helps reinforce the information in your short-term memory. Step 3. Space out your reviews. Instead of cramming all your reviews into one session, space them out over time. For example, you might review the material again after 1 day, then 3 days, then a week, then a month. The exact intervals will depend on how well you remember the information. If you're struggling with a particular concept, review it more frequently. If it's sticking well, you can increase the intervals between reviews. Tools for spaced repetition. There are several tools that can help you implement spaced repetition effectively. Anki, a flashcard app that uses spaced repetition algorithms to schedule your reviews. Quizlet, another flashcard app with spaced repetition features. Physical flashcards. If you prefer a hands-on approach, you can create your own flashcards and use a spaced repetition schedule. Example: memorizing historical dates. Let's say you're studying for a history exam and need to memorize key dates. Instead of cramming all the dates into one study session, use spaced repetition. On day 1, learn the dates and review them immediately. On day 2, review them again. On day 4, test yourself. If you remember most of the dates, wait a week before your next review. If not, review them again sooner. By spacing out your reviews, you'll retain the information much longer than if you tried to cram it all at once. Spaced repetition is a game changer for anyone who wants to learn faster and remember more. It might take a little extra effort to set up, but the results are well worth it. Strategy 3. Focused practice. Now, let's talk about focused practice, the key to mastering any skill quickly. Focused practice is about quality, not quantity. It's not about how many hours you put in, it's about how effectively you use those hours. The concept of focused practice comes from the idea of deliberate practice, which was popularized by psychologist Anders Ericsson. Deliberate practice involves setting specific goals, getting immediate feedback, and pushing yourself just beyond your current abilities. Here's how you can apply focused practice to your learning. Step 1. Set clear goals. Before you start practicing, define what you want to achieve. For example, if you're learning to play the guitar, your goal might be to master a specific chord progression or song. Step 2. Eliminate distractions. Focused practice requires your full attention. Turn off your phone, close unnecessary tabs on your computer, and create a quiet, distraction-free environment. Step 3. Use the Pomodoro Technique. The Pomodoro Technique is a time management method that involves working in short, focused bursts. Here's how it works. Set a timer for 25 minutes and focus on your task. When the timer goes off, take a 5-minute break. After 4 cycles, take a longer break, 15 to 30 minutes. This technique helps you maintain high levels of focus and prevents burnout. Step 4. Get feedback. Feedback is essential for focused practice. It helps you identify areas for improvement and adjust your approach. If you're learning a skill like coding or playing an instrument, consider working with a mentor or coach who can provide constructive feedback. If that's not an option, record yourself and review your performance objectively. Example: learning to code. Let's say you're learning Python programming. Instead of aimlessly working through tutorials, set a specific goal, like building a simple calculator app. Use the Pomodoro Technique to focus on your coding sessions and test your app regularly to get feedback on your progress. By practicing in this focused, deliberate way, you'll learn faster and build a stronger foundation. Focused practice might feel intense at first, but it's the most effective way to master any skill. Remember, it's not about how much time you spend, it's about how you spend that time. Strategy 4. Leverage multiple learning styles. Everyone learns differently. Some people are visual learners, while others prefer auditory or hands-on approaches. The key to learning faster is to leverage multiple learning styles. Here's how you can do it. Visual learning. Visual learners absorb information best through images, diagrams, and videos. If you're a visual learner, try using mind maps, infographics, or color-coded notes to organize your information. Auditory learners learn best through listening. If you're an auditory learner, try recording your notes and listening to them, or use podcasts and audiobooks to supplement your learning. Kinesthetic learning. Kinesthetic learners learn best through hands-on activities. If you're a kinesthetic learner, try incorporating movement or physical objects into your learning. For example, you might use flashcards or build models to understand complex concepts. Reading, to writing. Learning. Some people learn best through reading and writing. If this is you, focus on taking detailed notes, summarizing information in your own words, and reading extensively on the topic. Combining learning styles. The most effective learners combine multiple styles. For example, if you're learning about the human body, you might watch a video, visual. Listen to a podcast, auditory. Build a model of the skeletal system, kinesthetic. Write a summary of what you've learned, reading, writing. By engaging multiple senses, you'll reinforce your learning and retain more information. Example: learning a new language. If you're learning French, you might watch French movies with subtitles, visual. Listen to French podcasts, auditory. Practice speaking with a language partner, kinesthetic. Write journal entries in French, reading, writing. This multi-sensory approach will help you learn faster and more effectively. Leveraging multiple learning styles is a powerful way to enhance your learning. Experiment with different techniques and find what works best for you. Strategy 5. Optimize your environment and habits. Finally, let's talk about the role of your environment and habits in learning. Your surroundings and daily routines have a huge impact on your ability to focus and retain information. Here's how to optimize them for faster learning. Create a distraction-free environment. Your learning environment should be free from distractions. This means turning off notifications on your phone, keeping your workspace clean and organized, using noise-canceling headphones or white noise if you're in a noisy area. Build a consistent routine. Consistency is key to effective learning. Set aside dedicated time each day for learning and stick to it. Over time, this routine will become a habit, making it easier to stay on track. Prioritize sleep, nutrition, and exercise. Your brain needs fuel to function at its best. Make sure you're getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night, eating a balanced diet rich in brain-boosting foods like omega-3s, antioxidants, and whole grains, exercising regularly to improve focus and memory. Example, setting up a daily learning routine. Let's say you're learning to code. Your daily routine might look like this. Morning, 25 minutes of focused coding practice using the Pomodoro technique. Afternoon, review your notes and watch a coding tutorial. Evening, reflect on what you've learned and plan for the next day. By optimizing your environment and habits, you'll create the ideal conditions for rapid learning. Remember, learning is a marathon, not a sprint. Small, consistent efforts over time will yield the best results.